Attention passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Let's get to the news. So, folks, the NFL's roster cutdown day has come and gone, and let me tell you, it's always a roller coaster. Every year, teams are making tough decisions, trimming down to those 53 spots, and for the Steelers, this year was no different. But what's really interesting is how they're shaping up heading into the 2024 season, especially when it comes to the safety position. You know, the Steelers have always been known for their strong defense, and this year, they're doing everything they can to keep that legacy alive, even after some key changes and surprises along the way. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you know that there weren't many shocks when it came to their initial roster. Most of the spots seemed pretty straightforward. The Steelers kept their core guys, and the roster looks pretty solid. But as always, the fluid nature of the NFL means that things can change quickly. Teams are constantly shuffling players, making waiver claims, and trying to find those hidden gems that can make a difference in the long run. So, even if the initial roster looks set, don't be surprised if some surprises pop up in the coming weeks or even after further roster moves. One of the biggest storylines for the Steelers this offseason has been their safety depth. It's a position that always draws attention, especially for a team that prides itself on a tough, aggressive defense. The Steelers have been working hard to find the right mix of experience and young talent back there, and that effort has been reflected in some recent moves. Remember, Deshaun Elliott had a really good season in 2024. He was a bright spot in that secondary, and the team rewarded him with an extension, which speaks volumes about how much they trust him and value his contribution. For safety, that's a big deal, especially in a division as competitive as the AFC North. But of course, the big shakeup came with the trade of Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, for those of you who follow the Steelers closely, you know Minkah is a cornerstone of that secondary. Losing him to Miami was a huge blow, and it left a noticeable gap that needed to be addressed. The Steelers weren't just going to sit back and let that hole stay empty. No, they were proactive. They went out and signed Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark, two veterans with tons of experience and leadership qualities. Thornhill, in particular, seemed to be the favorite to take over as the starting safety early in camp. That move made sense. Thornhill has shown that he can be a playmaker, and he brings a certain swagger to the secondary that the Steelers need. Chuck Clark, on the other hand, was initially part of the roster cuts as they trimmed down to 53 players. It looked like he might be on the outside looking in, but then, as luck would have it, the Steelers brought him back onto the roster after Will Howard and Daunt Kent were placed on injured reserve. That move was a smart one, because now they have that veteran presence in the backfield, someone who can step in if needed and provide valuable depth. It's a reminder that the Steelers are very calculated about how they build their roster, especially in such a critical position. And yet, even with all these moves, there was a player that caught a lot of attention, Shilo Sanders. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar, Sanders is the son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, and he's been making waves since his college days at Colorado. Going undrafted in the 2025 NFL Draft, most analysts expected that he'd go through a bit of a grind to make it into the league. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave him a shot during training camp, and early on, there was a lot of buzz around him. He seemed to be impressing coaches with his football IQ and his humble attitude despite the spotlight shining bright on him because of his famous father. People thought Sanders might have a real shot at making the Bucs roster, or at least landing on their practice squad. But as many of you probably know, NFL preseason and camp are unpredictable, and sometimes, players don't make the cut even after showing promise. Unfortunately for Sanders, he was ejected during a preseason game after a scuffle with Bills tight end Zach Davidson, where he threw a punch. That incident, combined with the fact that he didn't have a standout camp or preseason, probably didn't help his case. It's tough because a moment like that can overshadow all the good things you've done, especially in a league as competitive as the NFL. Now, here, Where things get interesting. After Tampa Bay cut Sanders the day following their final preseason game, many expected the Steelers to pounce. You see, the Steelers have always been about finding those overlooked talents and giving them a chance to prove themselves. They had the opportunity to put in a claim on Sanders, either to add him to their 53-man roster or to sign him to the practice squad after waiver claims. But surprisingly, the Steelers decided not to make a move. They passed on claiming him, and they also passed on signing him to their practice squad. Why would that be? Well, it could be that after all the recent moves, the Steelers believe they have enough depth at safety with DeShon Elliott, Juan Thornhill, and Chuck Clark. Miles Killebrew, for example, is a key special teams player and a safety who is primarily a backup or emergency option. So, with just those three reliable safeties, it seems the team isn't in a rush to bring in Sanders, especially considering his recent incident and the fact that no other NFL team has shown interest in him so far. That's telling, right? It indicates that the league isn't sold on him just yet, and the Steelers are perhaps waiting for the right opportunity, or maybe they want to see how things develop in the coming weeks. But let's not forget, roster decisions are fluid. The NFL is all about adjustments, and sometimes a player's situation can change rapidly. The Steelers are known for their patience and strategic thinking, so while they currently haven't made a move on Sanders, that doesn't mean they won't revisit the situation later. They are always on the lookout for talent that can add value, especially if injuries occur or if someone on their roster doesn't perform as expected. And in a division as tough as the AFC North, where every game is a battle, depth and versatility are everything. Looking at the bigger picture, the Steelers' approach this year seems to be balancing veteran experience with young talent, trying to find that perfect mix. They're clearly confident in their core players, and the safety position is a prime example of that. Even with the departure of Minkah Fitzpatrick, their defense remains formidable, thanks to players like DeShon Elliott, Juan Thornhill, Chuck Clark, and the emerging talents they're trying to develop. The coaching staff has emphasized the importance of discipline, football IQ, and versatility, and that's reflected in their roster decisions. Now, for the fans, I know this is a time of anticipation and maybe a little frustration. We all want to see our team build that championship-caliber roster, and roster cuts are always nerve-wracking because they remind us of how competitive this league really is. But remember, the Steelers have a long-standing tradition of finding diamonds in the rough. They're patient, strategic, and always looking for ways to improve. This year, with the safety position being a point of focus, it's clear they're trying to keep their options open, prepare for the unexpected, and stay flexible. It's about creating that depth that can step up when needed, especially in a division as physical and competitive as the AFC North. As the season approaches, I think we can expect the Steelers to keep monitoring the waiver wire, maybe even making some surprise claims or signings as the season unfolds. They're always watching, always ready to make that move that could change the game. They're not just relying on their current roster, but actively seeking ways to elevate their team and stay ahead of the competition. The safety spot might not be entirely settled yet, but that's part of what makes NFL football so exciting. Every week, every game, every move counts. And what about the overall outlook for the Steelers this season? Well, after making these roster decisions, including the focus on safety depth, they're clearly aiming for a strong, disciplined, and versatile team. The AFC North remains as tough as ever, with Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland all looking to make their mark. But Pittsburgh has that resilient, gritty identity that fans love, a team that never gives up, always fights till the last whistle. Their defense is still one of the league's best when it's clicking, and with the right mix of veterans and young talent, they're positioning themselves to be serious contenders once again. Plus, the coaching staff, led by Mike Tomlin, continues to emphasize discipline, resilience, and smart decision-making. That's the hallmark of a team that's always in the conversation, no matter what the roster looks like at the start of the season. They are known for their discipline and their ability to adapt, and that's what will carry them through another grueling AFC North schedule. And let's not forget the importance of special teams, where players like Miles Killebrew play a significant role. Special teams can often be the difference in close games, and Pittsburgh's emphasis on that unit remains a key part of their strategy. So to sum it all up, the Steelers have gone through a lot in this roster cutdown period, but their core philosophy remains intact. build a tough, disciplined team that can compete at the highest level. The safety position has seen some reshuffling, with veterans like Thornhill and Clark stepping up to fill the void left by Minkah Fitzpatrick's trade. The intriguing case of Shilo Sanders shows how competitive and unpredictable NFL roster decisions can be. The Steelers opted not to claim him or sign him to the practice squad, which signals their current confidence in their existing safety depth. But of course, everything is subject to change as the season unfolds. Fans, I know it's an exciting time, and we're all eager to see how this team gels together in the coming weeks. The Steelers are always a team to watch, and they thrive under pressure. The division is fierce, but Pittsburgh's resilience and strategic approach give us every reason to believe they'll be right in the thick of the fight. With that said, keep your eyes peeled for more updates, because roster moves, injuries, and surprises are part of the NFL game. The Steelers are ready to take on whatever comes next, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Stay tuned, because this season is shaping up to be one of the most exciting yet. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these roster moves? Do you think the Steelers made the right call by passing on Sanders? Are you confident in Thornhill, Clark, and Elliott to hold down that safety spot? Or do you think the team might still look for more help down the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Steelers, because it's your passion, your insights that make this community special. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and all the latest news from the Steel City. So stay tuned, keep supporting your team, and let's get ready for what promises to be an incredible season. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Steelers!